What's up, Addicts? I'm Josh.
Michael.
And today we're back with issue 3 of Die, Die, Die. We're a little bit slow on this one, but that's okay.
3 times die.
3 times die. This is literally like the 9th time I've died in this series, because it's the 3rd issue. After reading the 3rd tile, you've officially read it that many times. I don't know why I went on that. Anyway, so we get into it. And this is, I guess you could say it's more of a character building issue. We get to see a little bit more backstory of Nate. We also get introduced to some new characters that are not directly involved with Nate's group, or I guess not a part of them, but they do interact with them. The chick that we saw Connie talking to over dinner in the the 2nd issue, I believe. One of those two. I think you see it in twice, but you actually see some of her agents and them doing a little bit of mission. We get a little sneak peek into that. One of them is named Bethany. She's a badass, and that's all I really have to say about her. We also get... I don't remember if they had the name drop for the other guy. Do you remember? The other guy that's on the cover. I don't remember. I have a name written down here, but I don't know if that's right. I don't think this is right. It says Brian, but I don't think that's right. But anyway, because I don't think... He doesn't look like a Brian. But anyway, sorry. So apparently I don't have it here. But he's got a really interesting, I guess, character you could say. He's kind of a little bit of their version of Nate. He goes on a whole tangent of the moon, which is pretty great.
We also get Nate's backstory in this.
Yeah, so we get I guess it's expanded, because we do know that he had some sort of rough patch with him being in prison, but we didn't know that he was like a ex-military, and why essentially he got put in that situation, which we find out that he actually killed one of the commanding officers because they were a huge pedo, and so he was completely justified. And Connie liked that about him, that he was able to kill that pedo. So,
it's a theme in this so far, actually.
And that's actually another thing, a huge part of the issue that we get into, is we get to see Connie, and for the life of me, I wrote it down.
Creepy old short man.
Yeah. I don't know. I know we figured out his name. I think we did, anyway. Wow, I'm completely butchering this. I'm sorry. But we get what I wanted to say is we get to look at kind of what their ideology is, and I guess in a sense. And from both aspects, you can kind of understand where they're coming from, and in a really twisted way, how it makes sense to them. But at the same time, it's still... You can look at both of those and you're like, you're both fucked up. But
both wrong, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's kind of interesting. But I would say probably the highlight of this issue that we really were looking forward to from after the 2nd issue was getting into the Ebro, which we find out he's called George. His name is George. And he is actually got his nose reattached, or I guess his brother's nose attached to him. And... we get to see just who Paul's, I suppose, girlfriend, maybe
girlfriend.
Wife.
I think she said, like, "What did you do with my boyfriend?" So I think girlfriend.
Yeah. And that's Jennifer, which by the end of the issue, the jig is up, and he is found out.
Panel,
yeah. And so that's a really interesting thing. The only other thing I didn't mention was we get more people, I guess, in a sense, that are connected to Nate in terms of his personal life. We get to see some girl that's mysterious. Like, we don't really know what her connection is to him, because we just saw her out in his hallway to his apartment. Don't know if she's really an important character, but he kind of had this moment where he looked at her to where I kind of suspect there's something about her that we don't know yet. And then we get a look at his supposed wife, but not mother of his child, which interesting dynamic being played there. And then we get to figure out that his wife has been killed and been dead, presumably for a while, but we don't really know much of that. So that's still a mystery that is going to be answered later. But I guess, that's basically all that happened in the video. If you guys are wondering where they put the sexy masks on the front of the issue, that really has no importance at all. It just adds
politicians
to
being weird.
Yeah, it just adds to the disgusting nature of those two characters. Yeah. So, but anyway, Michael, going into like your thoughts, like favorite moments. What'd you think?
So we pretty much covered everything in this issue, which is kind of convenient to go back and look at favorite moments. I really like the scene with Nate and his daughter where she's holding the gun and kind of that dialogue. It's like, that's tonally that matches this series pretty well. And I did like the last panel between George and Jennifer, yeah.
Yeah, I think that dynamic is something that's going to be really interesting playing forward. Is he just going to blatantly kill her in the next issue? Or are they going to make some kind of arrangement? Yeah. And so I literally love how she's like, yeah, let me get some extra mushrooms. Like, oh yeah, that's my favorite. Then she just comes back and starts hitting me. He's like, crap, I forgot which brother hates mushrooms. And so that's like a really cool thing that they play off of. I mean, that's kind of like this comic's charm. I guess you could say one of the things we didn't mention before that I kind of love about this comic is it doesn't really take itself too seriously. You can tell with that with just some of the dialogue, some of the names. Like, for instance, Nate's last name is supposed to be Lipschitz, and so is Connie's. No relation, by the way. Which they dropped that in there. And I don't know. This is something that's fun with me. The other thing that I found comical and I really appreciated was the character's rant on Moon. I can't remember, what was it, like Space Station? Something like that. But,
Alex Jones level material right there.
Yeah, basically. And I just thought that was pretty hilarious. The new characters seem really likable. They seem like they can handle themselves, so I do like that because there's one thing that peeves me off more than anything, and that's characters that just do stupid stuff and can't take care of themselves. So I'm glad to see that so far every character seems to be.
Yeah, and as far as like my expectations, I think I thought that George was going to be undercover. That's his name, right? Yeah. Evil Bro. Yeah. He was going to be undercover for like a longer time, but it really was just one issue. So I wonder how that's going to go forward, and if he's going to kill Jennifer, and then it's going to be still a longer thing of him like long con, or if it's going to be something that's not like a major theme in the comic book as I thought it would be.
Yeah, that was something that kind of threw me for a loop because I figured that we would get to this eventually, but I didn't necessarily think they were going to tackle this in the very next issue. So that was something that was really surprising, and I'm curious to see where they go with it. I think there's one or two ways they could go. They could probably, have him kill her, which that would be probably the most least interesting way, but I'd be fine with it because that's kind of what this is. It's fast-paced, just keeps going. But I'm curious to see if he's going to be able to sweeten talk his way out. Be like, oh, I can. If you keep quiet, I'll give you information about where he is, or something to that effect. Or we still don't. Window. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, just throws her out the window. Like, oh, she commits this. She didn't like my nose the way it looked afterwards. But I don't know. But it's just one of those things that I'll be curious to see going forward. We still don't know what his overall motivation was and is. And so that might play a huge role in how that moves forward. But I'm really curious to see where that goes. And I do like how they focused on Nate because he's a great character. We didn't see John at all. So that's an interesting thing. I wonder if he went back to his cabin. He was just like, oh, I saved my bro. I'm out. I'm going back to my cabin. I like the silence. Too much noise. My own thoughts. But yeah, so, I mean, that's it for this issue. Any final thoughts for you? In closing, yeah, if you liked the first two issues or you're still looking at getting into this series, I think this is a good point to get into it. You get to feel if you like the tone, the characters, and especially for Nate, I think this was a good episode to get to know more about him. Yeah. I think going forward, I'm going to give it, I think one more issue will probably solidify on whether or not this is a series that is going to be worthwhile doing immediately. Yeah. So, just expect us for the next time. We should be on time or closer to its release for the next issue, issue 4, which I believe comes out end of October, which we're very busy during that part of the month, so we'll see. We're going to try to get it out for you guys. But anyway, guys, that will conclude this video. Be sure to check out our other stuff. Links will be in the description if you want to follow us on social media, or all the jazz. So we'll just talk to you later. There in the description somewhere. I'm a broken record. We'll see you guys later.